Hello everyone, Scott, and we're back today talking about Selesnya Enchantments, a deck I've talked about before, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the little bit of changes that were made to the deck since the arrival of Lost Caverns Vixalon, because it is, at least on Arena and Best of 1, it's probably one of the most successful decks there, but we're going to take it out into Best of 3 and see if it's got what it takes to win there as well. So let's take a look at the deck. So our creature base is 4 Generous Visitors, who every time you cast an enchantment, you get a +1/+1 counter to put on a creature. The key catalyst of the deck is Jukai Naturalist. For a green and a white mana, you get to reduce the cost of an enchantment by 1. It also has lifelink, so this is a good target for your Generous Visitor. +1/+1 counters. We've got 3 Kami of Transience. It has Trample, and then anytime you cast an enchantment, it gets a +1/+1, and it can come back from the battlefield, from the graveyard, if it's put there, if an enchantment goes in. So that's a pretty good ability for us to just kind of keep getting our Kami back. We have also 4 copies of Spirited Companion for card draw. We got 4 copies of Calix, and Calix is, again, another one of those big drivers in the deck, because when an enchantment damages your opponent, and it's Calix or something that has one of your Audacities on it, then you get to copy an enchantment. So that means you could copy any of the enchantments in the deck, and that could be Ossification, it could be Restoration of Eiganjo, or more likely you're trying to copy your Hallowed Hauntings, which we'll talk about in just a second. And our last creature in the deck is Katilda, Dawnhart Martyr, who is a great offensive card. It's got flying, lifelink, and protection from vampires. And if Katilda does die, then you get Katilda's Rising Dawn, which is a very powerful enchantment. Again, it gives your creature flying, lifelink, and protection from vampires. But more importantly, it gives them +X/+X, where X is the number of permanents you control that are spirits and or enchantments. And basically every card in the deck outside of the lands are an enchantment or a spirit. So whatever would get Katilda's Rising Dawn is going to be very large very quickly. Right, so those are our creatures. Now we've got some enchantments to go along with this. We've got 3 copies of Audacity to give one of our creatures Trample and +2. And when Audacity leaves the battlefield, you do get to draw a card, which is helpful to us. We've got 2 copies of the Teaching of Kirin. Again, to get a little bit of creature synergy here by getting a 1/1 Spirit on Chapter 1, then we get a +1/+1 counter on Chapter 2 to put one of our creatures, and then it transformed into Kirin touched by Orochi. You get a Snake Monk, it's 1/1, and when Kirin, touched by Orochi, attacks, you get to exile a target creature from a graveyard and create a 1/1 Spirit, or you can exile a target non-creature card from a graveyard and get a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So this is another +1/+1 counter engine every time it attacks. And typically you're going to be probably putting the counter on Kirin, but you may want to put it on something else as well. For a little bit of removal, we've got 4 copies of Ossification in the deck. We can get rid of a creature or a planeswalker that way. And it is a good target for Calix's ability if you get to duplicate something. We've got 2 copies of Restoration of Eiganjo for some help with drawing planes, and then potentially getting something that was killed early back from our graveyard. And then eventually you get your 3/4 Architect of Restoration that has Vigilance, and every time it attacks or blocks you get to create another Spirit token, so very much in synergy with everything else in the deck. We've got 3 copies of Hallowed Haunting to grow things in the deck. When we play our enchantments, we get a Spirit token that grows every time you cast another enchantment. And finally, we got 2 copies of Virtue of Loyalty, again as another opportunity to grow our team, because at the beginning of your end step you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and then you get to untap those creatures. And we also have Ardendale Fealty there, so early in the game we're likely dropping a Knight token to be a surprise blocker and take out one of your opponent's creatures. And then later in the game, you're looking to get the Virtue of Loyalty down so you can build your team from there. All right, in the mana base, we've got a Eiganjo, we've got 5 plains, we've got a Boseiju, 5 forest, 4 brushland, 2 Overgrown Farmland, and 4 Razorverge Thicket. In the sideboard, we've got a couple copies of Surge of Salvation. We've got 3 copies of Circle of Confinement to take out little threats. We've got 2 Rite of Harmony for potentially card draw in games where we need some additional card draw. We got a couple copies of Borrowed Time so we can exile any non-land permanent our opponent has. And then we've got a couple copies of Get Lost where we can destroy a creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. And we got an extra copy of Katilda if we need it. We got 2 Touched by the Spirit Realm to deal with an artifact that could be problematic or creature. And then we have an extra copy of Boseiju, again, for in those games where we're trying to deal with an opponent who has troublesome enchantments or artifacts that are being played, and we can use that to remove those as well. All right, so that's the deck. Let's get into some gameplay. All right, so we have the option of playing first, so we're going to do that, of course. We've got a very good opening hand here with 2 Generous Visitors, Audacity and Spirited Companion in it, along with a Calix. So we're going to keep this one and go from there. So we'll play our Generous Visitor first. So we'll start seeing counters being able to put on it or something else very quickly. And they're going to play a Teething Wormlet. Okay. And we're going to go immediately down with another Generous Visitor. And then we're going to play our Audacity on one of our Generous Visitors. We'll put the token on the other one, so that way we at least have potentially a blocker, so Teething Wormlet, if they don't play something here, doesn't automatically get to attack through. Agatha's Soul Cauldron gives a token to Teething Wormlet. Okay, we get our 3rd land here. We're going to take some damage, but we'll go ahead and pump up our team here. And we'll give Calix a counter as well. And now we're going to get an activation from Audacity. We'll take that. And we're going to go ahead and put... Whoops. Cancel that. And we're going to attach our Audacity to Calix and make it a 6/4. So now they got 3 big creatures to deal with. So we're in pretty good shape here. They're only at 8 life. They get Kite Sail, Larcenist, so that's bad for us because they'll probably take out Calix in this situation, which makes sense. But we do get the Audacity activation to get to draw another card. Okay, we get a Razorverge Thicket. Because that comes in tap, I'm going to play this first. And I'm going to put a token on each of the Generous Visitors. And we get a Teaching to Kirin. So that doesn't help us out a lot. But I'm going to go ahead and attack with both. So they're kind of put in a position where they're going to have to block something or take a bunch of damage. And they may double block here. They don't double block, so that means we are going to take game 1 against what looks to be a Simic deck. Alright, so we know what they've got here. I think what we want to do in terms of things, we know they've got an Agatha's Soul Cauldron, so we're going to bring in our Boseiju, and then also I'm going to bring in our Borrowed Times because they're going to help us out as well. And I'm going to actually go to a couple of 3 extra cards in this situation rather than pulling things out because that Boseiju meets the land requirement for us, so I'm just going to play a few extra cards. And I found it to be pretty successful playing, basically adding 2 spells in the Boseiju in the past, so we'll see if that works out again for us. Alright, got 4 lands to start with. We've got Jukai Naturalist into Restoration, so I think that's a good start for us. And we also have Boseiju to take out an Agatha's Soul Cauldron or something, so I think we're in good shape to start with. Okay, they're playing a Surge Engine, which is not the kind of thing we really wanted to see here, but it puts us in a little bit different situation than what I thought we were playing against. So it looks like they're playing some kind of combination of artifact deck here with some removal in it as well in the form of Kutzil Larcenist. And we're going to get beaten up, unfortunately. The opponent gets to kill our stuff and survive and then do some damage. So that's really bad for us in this situation to lose that right there. But we're going to be able to get it back here in just a minute with Restoration of Eiganjo, so we're not in terrible shape. So we'll go ahead and do that right away before the opponent has a real chance to get in some damage. We'll get another land as well, so that means on turn 5 we'll be able to get anything we want to in play. And we've got a couple Spirited Companions to hopefully catch up in terms of cards on the opponent. And we do have our Boseiju that we can use to kill the Surge Engine if we need to. Okay, they're turning their map token into that. I'm going to go ahead and send a forest to, actually, yeah, I'm going to send the forest to the bin here so we can get our Naturalist back. And that's going to reduce the cost of everything. So we're going to be able to do a lot this turn. So the first thing I want to do is play one of the Spirited Companions, draw a card here, see where we're at. Okay, we get that 5th land, so that's going to be able to give us Audacity. I'm going to go ahead and use Boseiju here to take out the map token, get rid of the Zodiac Glyph. Now they are going to get to discover 3 with that, which is going to be, unfortunately, a little bad for us, but it's really bad for us because it gets them a Kutzil Larcenist, which means that we don't get our Audacity into play. And I guess we'll cast Audacity on Spirited Companion. We're pretty much dead at this point, unfortunately. They've just gotten a really, really powerful draw that we weren't able to do much against. And the Glyph getting the Discover there, that's just unlucky for us that they got having to get that card. If they don't get that, then we're in a place where we drop another Spirited Companion, drop the Audacity onto Jukai Naturalist, and we're really rolling for a next turn where we're going to be able to block and then survive. But now we're in really bad shape. So I think they've just won at this point, and I don't think there's much that we can do, unfortunately. So if we don't get an Ossification here, we're pretty much dead. Yeah, we're dead here. Unfortunately, nothing we can do about that one. We'll come back and play game 3. Alright, so because of what they're playing, I'm going to now, rather than bringing the Borrowed Times in, I'm going to take both of those out. I'm going to put a couple of Circle of Confinements in, because it looks like everything they're playing is 3 mana or less. And this can take out those small creatures for us. I am going to back down on the Virtue of Loyalties in this situation since we're bringing in those. Bringing the deck total back down to 61. And hopefully that'll help us out here in the end. And we'll see. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a terrible draw. All right, so we've got a decent draw here. The bad news is that we've got to get rid of something, and we're going to have to keep all 3 lands, so it's going to have to be probably... I think we're going to get rid of our Kami, unfortunately, here. And the reason I'm getting rid of the Kami, even though it can come back, I think that's going to be the least valuable in this situation, given what we've seen the opponent play so far. They get their Teething Wormlet on turn 1, so they're going off right away. I'm going to play a Boseiju, play our Naturalist. Hopefully it doesn't get removed. If it doesn't get removed, then we can get Hallowed Haunting down, and once that's down, then it's going to be play a card and really put ourselves in a position where we're in good shape. So we can basically are creating blockers every time we play a Hallowed Haunting. Okay, they're going to play their Haywire Might, which is really bad for us. The good is that it can kill a... yeah, we just got hosed here. Arena is giving the opponent their ideal draw, and we are just sitting here getting hammered by their draw out. So probably, and we don't have a basic land, so we can't use Ossification. So we're in a really tough spot here. We probably are going to be dead on the next in 2 turns here, based on what they have. They've got a Schooner now, so that means Wormlet continues to grow, and that means we're going to lose some more life here. And again, we've got to have a basic land here to be able to use that Ossification. So we probably are going to, we're going to play our Spirited Companion here just to get a blocker out, basically. It will pump up our Katilda a little bit. We get an Audacity as well. So I'm going to play that on our Katilda with the hopes of just being able to gain enough life that we can stay in this, because we're far behind at this point on board. And the fact that the Haymaker Might can kill the Audacity probably doesn't matter, because I don't think they'll go after that. But I'm going to try to get Ossification down on the Haymaker Might before we would go after something else. Okay, and now they got a really good draw with Nikanzel. So they've really had a pretty solid draw with everything they pretty much could want. And they get another tail swipe. So if we can't grow our Katilda enough, it'll die next turn. And because Nikanzel just continues to grow, and that's going to give them, because they'll main phase it with +1/+1. We do get a white source, and it is a land, so that's good news for us. So we're going to go ahead and play this. And we're going to play it on Nikanzel, even though that's really not where I want to play this. And the reason I'm having to do that is I just don't have really the option not to do that at this point. But we've got the opponent down to 5. We've got a Haunted Howling that we can bring out next turn. Assuming we can keep Katilda alive, we're in pretty decent shape right now. Because they don't have anything big enough to kill Katilda with the tail swipe yet. So we'll see if they have something that can do that. They get a land here, which probably is important to them. We're going to just take the damage here since we've had 22 life. Now the question is, yep, they got the removal they needed. Wow. They have been incredibly lucky. They've literally gotten everything they needed to win these games, unfortunately for us. Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate that that's what we're dealing with here. Yeah, we're going to put that on Spirited Companion, and we're not done yet. We're going to play our Hallowed Haunting. Play our land. We're going to play on our Spirited Companion the Audacity, and we're going to attack here. Put them in a situation where they've got to block with something, or they go down to 1. They're going to block. Okay, we kill their Teething Wormlet. We get them down to 4, and more importantly, we get another card. And that's going to be important to us here. And it's another Hallowed Haunting. So if we get any 1-drop here, we're in really good shape to be able to get a couple of additional creatures out on the next turn. At least one, we know we're going to be able to create 1 more spirit token. I wouldn't be surprised if they used Tail Swipe to try to take out our two spirit that grows with each enchantment that's in the game, or actually each spirit that's in the game. Yes, the number of spirits you control. So it grows with each spirit. So we know we're going to have another one. Unfortunately, the 1/1 doesn't grow for us. Okay, they're going to play another Teething Wormlet, and they're going to play a Spyglass Siren. So they're going off with their numbers. And they may go ahead and kill our... Interesting that they're going to use it to kill the Teaching of Kirin, which isn't a big loss for us, but what more importantly it means for us, they cannot play their Tail Swipe this turn, which is fantastic. So that means our 2/2 will become a 3/3, and if we draw anything, well, we can use our spirit to go ahead and gain us some life. Okay, we get a land here, but we're going to get another spirit. Okay, and because they've got their schooner available, we're not going to attack here. So we're still in the lead. So now would be a great opportunity for us if we can get something that we can play here that will either will help grow our spirit, because now we've got 2 Hallowed Haunting down. So any enchantment is going to give us 2 more. So that means our spirits are going to be 5/5s, which will put us in a pretty good position. Okay, they're going to go ahead and kill one of them. Okay, which isn't that big of a deal for us. It's not a deal breaker, but what we really need now is we've got to get some stuff going. Preferably something that's going to lead to some card draw. Otherwise, our opponent's just going to run away with the game on us. Yeah, and wow, they're getting a lot of good stuff right now. So we're going to take a pretty heavy hit here this turn. We get another spirit. Unfortunately, that doesn't help us a whole lot in this situation because it's not creating anything. So that's... Oh, yeah, I had a way to do this. Alright, so unfortunately Arena skipped... Whoa, why can't I just... Oh, Arena messed us up there because I wanted to sacrifice the Katilda's Dawnhart that's a token, and then use that token to give something flying and trample. And unfortunately, Arena just screwed us there because it skipped through our main phase, our combat step, and our second main phase, and wouldn't let us sacrifice the token. So really bad Arena mechanical stuff there, not understanding gameplay. So we're going to have to go to full control here. So I'm just going to put in a bunch of stops so that that doesn't happen to us on the next turn. Because this is how we can get into the air and do some serious damage. Because they only have 1 blocker at this point. Okay. So before I do that, I'm going to draw. See what we get here. We get a land. All right, so we're just going to sacrifice this to create a mana. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, we're going to go to our main phase. We'll throw that down. Play this on this spirit. Get our activations, which will get us 2 more spirits, which will pump up our spirit that's going to get this on it. And this should be enough to win the game. Yeah, it's 14. That's probably enough to win it for us. All right. Well, that turned out to be... oh, wait a minute. I thought it... Oh, it did... I forgot it doesn't have trample. I should have put it on the Kami and we would have won the game. My mistake there. So that was a bad decision on my part by putting it on the wrong creature. Because if I had put it on Kami, we'd have had it. But they see the writing on the wall with what they've got. So we take the game. Yeah, so in that situation, they've got a couple of things. Okay, they've got a Nikonzel here that they're going to bring into play, but they really have to be able to block in the air. And if we get anything, our spirits are going to be 7/7s, and that's going to make it really hard because now they're going to have to block those in addition to the spirit that's got flying. Pretty good game. Okay, so we're going to be on the draw to start this one, so makes it a little bit harder for us, but we actually have a pretty good draw out here with Generous Visitor, as long as we can keep that alive. We've got Calix on turn 3 or Katilda on turn 3, so I think this is definitely keepable. Hopefully we don't draw into any more land. Unfortunately, we draw a second copy of Calix early, but that does give us a backup, and we are playing a black deck, so hopefully we can draw something to play on this turn and then go from there. No play by the opponent. Guess we'll go ahead and attack for 1, hopefully. Oh, they're going to put that down. So we just... that was a huge mistake on my part, doing that. So now I just really hurt our chances in this game by not being able to get all those extra counters, by suiciding my Generous Visitor into this. And now we're playing against Rafine. But we'll take Rafine out on this turn. Yeah, so that was a very bad turn of events for us. But we'll play Ossification to get rid of Rafine here. And then we'll have Calix eventually here. Okay, getting rid of Rafine will help us out here. So now what we want to do is get Calix down and then start growing our team as we go. Okay, and the good news is the opponent, they're playing a Wedding Announcement, which is actually okay for us. And we've got 4 lands now, so good. We'll be able to build our Generous Visitor up as well, and that's ideal. And then we'll put that on Calix. And now hopefully we can start building our team, because that's really what's going to be able to allow us to beat this kind of deck. Okay, opponent figuring out what Calix does. Opponent goes ahead and attack. I'm going to go ahead and take this because I don't want to lose Calix and I don't want to lose the Generous Visitor. So I'd rather do this than get killed. Okay, so they cut down my Generous Visitor. Nothing I can do about that in that situation. They get a card, and now we're at our 5th land. We get a Jukai Naturalist. Okay, and we get a trigger for Calix. And unfortunately, we don't have 2 lands, but we're going to go ahead and attack with Calix, because what we'll be able to do is copy our Jukai Naturalist. Oh, yeah. Alright, this one's over. There's nothing we can do. Well, let's play our 2nd Calix. Unfortunately, really not much we can do there in that situation. The opponent has really had some really good luck with what they've had in hand, in being able to kill things. Again, we're not going to block in this situation. We'll just have to take it. We're down to 6, so they're probably going to win the turn here, because if they play Virtue, yeah, now we're screwed. Really unfortunate draw out for us, and we flooded horribly in this game, so that put us in a position where we really couldn't play Magic. So if they attack with both of them here, we'll go ahead and take out the 3/3 and gain 4 life. So we can kind of hang on a little bit here, but Arena just has to be helpful to us, or we're going to just die here, because they've had really good luck with their draw out. And having answers to both of our Generous Visitors, our Calix, okay, and has really, really helped them. And now they've got a Rafine, so they probably have won at this point. There's not much we can do, unfortunately. They'll go attack with a 5/5, so that means we have to block with something, which means that Katilda will go down 1. Okay, so we'll block with Visitor because we don't have a choice, and I'm just going to go ahead and get out here because there's nothing we can do. Arena just really hosed us in that one, but we'll try it in game 2, see what we can do here. All right, so what we really want to do is, we know they're going to be playing enchantments. We got to blow up their enchantments. So in this situation, I'm bringing both Borrowed Times in. We're going to take our Virtues out because they're just too slow for what we're going to have to deal with. We're going to bring in our extra copy of Boseiju, and I think bring in a copy of Circle of Confinement as well. Give us a little bit more remove. We had to go first this time, which should help us. Decent play out here. We'll see if we can get everything into play. It would be nice to have a non-tapped green source, so we could have played Generous Visitor, but we'll just have to play Kami of Transience on turn 2, and then into probably Teachings of the Kirin on turn 3, or possibly Katilda, depending on where the opponent is. So hopefully, okay, so they get a bat. So they probably take Katilda here, because that's the thing that's probably most threatening to them. Yeah. Okay, we get a Brushland. So that actually helps us out here, because now we can play one of our Generous Visitors into a Teaching. Get a double activation. Okay, we put one on Generous Visitor, so that way we're able to do something with that. Okay, we get a Katilda Dawnhart Martyr into the graveyard, so that means we're going to be able to play at some point Katilda's Rising Dawn, and that's going to be great for us. So they've got the ability to kill Kirin, which is fine for us. It's not that big of a loss losing that. Okay, play a second Generous Visitor into a Restoration of Eiganjo, triggering everything again, and the opponent scoops it up. All right, that was a pretty fast start for us that got really snowballed, and the opponent really didn't have much of a chance there once we got the snowball rolling. So we're going to keep things as they are, go into game 3, and hopefully take them out here. On the draw, we're going to keep this because we've got a turn 1 into a turn 2 into a turn 3 that will help us. And Audacity is in the hand now, so that's going to be really helpful later for us. We'll play we'll play Spirited Companion probably next, knowing that they are likely to have a night token that they're going to play here. We'll just hold back. We got a second borrow time, and then we got a Razorverge Thicket. We're not going to attack until we get at least a 3, so we know that they're, yeah, and they have it. Ardenvale Fealty, which would have been a blowout for them, so we avoid that and put ourselves in a pretty good spot here. They're going to attack. We'll let it go through, and we can either borrow time this if we need to, or we can go a different way if we want to. And I think the solution here, or the right decision here, is to go ahead with the Audacity on the Generous Visitor, because that'll get us some trample damage through and put us in a position where their block can't kill our Generous Visitor. So we're in pretty good shape right now. We'll see if they get on turn 3 or turn 4 here. Okay, they're just going to go ahead and attack. We'll take the 2. We're still up by 1. We also have a Boseiju, which will be helpful to we have an Eiganjo that we could use to take out a the night token or another one of the creatures they've got. And we know that even with Lauren coming into play, okay, they're taking out the Spirited Companion. That's interesting. Okay, very, very fortuitous draw here, because that's going to get us another token. Because I can kill Generous Visitor, we're not going to attack here. We'll hold back. And then now we'll be able to use Borrowed Time to help take out some of the threats the opponent has. Oh, they got a second one, and that one's going to take out our Hallowed Haunting. So very good turn for the opponent. But we've got Borrowed Times and Calix here. So how do we want to deal with this? I'm going to go with Calix. And the reason I'm going with Calix here is the opponent only has 1 open mana. They can't kill Generous Visitor. I'm going to double down on the Generous Visitor here so that it's an 8/6. So we're going to do is really the maximum amount of damage we can do on the turn. And we do have Eiganjo open if we need to use it. Okay. All right, Calix trigger. We'll see what the opponent does. Do they have a cut down to kill our Calix? They do. Okay, trigger's still going to happen though. We're going to take the action and we'll attach it to Generous Visitor. So now it's at 10/6, and we know we've got the 2 Borrowed Times and an Eiganjo in hand. So if the opponent can't kill our Generous Visitor, we're in pretty good shape here. Oh, we got a Boseiju. Great. So that's going to help us if they get a wedding announcement or something like that. And they've got vigilant attackers here. And we lost, unfortunately, Calix here, so we can't play Eiganjo on that turn. But even with both of them blocking, we're still going to be able to do 7 damage to take them out. But we're going to play a Boseiju or a Borrow Time here. And we can draw another Boseiju. I'm going to play Borrow Time here specifically to take out the token. And the reason I'm taking out the token as opposed to Lauren, just in case they have something here, I want to make sure that we can deal with not having Lauren come back into play immediately and taking that out. So we'll see what they've got here. But by doing that against the token, it puts us in a really good position now. We'll go ahead and attack. We'll see if they've got something here. They could have an Urtai. Okay, they got to destroy evil. So that means we get 2 draws here. Unfortunately, that is very painful for us. But we got an Overgrown Farmland. Okay. And we've got another Borrowed Time here. But I'm going to hold on to that because I'll have enough to play Borrowed Time and Haunted Howling next turn, so at least we'll get some advantage of that. And if they do attack with their Lauren, I can go ahead and use that. Okay. And if they want to use their Plaza of Heroes to save it, that's fine because it's going to take their whole turn to do that. Okay, they're going to have us each draw a card. We get an Audacity, which is something that's useful to us because it's going to be card draw for us. They get a Denic, so this is our perfect target for Borrowed Time. All right, so let's play our Hallowed Haunting first, and we're actually going to play Spirit of Companion and Audacity this turn, assuming we are able to get this down. Okay, we get it down. I'm going to play one of our Boseijus. And I am going to go ahead and play Borrow Time here on Denic. And that starts our Hallowed Haunting effect of getting us some spirit tokens. But more importantly, gets Denic off the board because Denic is a card we really don't want to deal with. Oh, they've got to make disappear, so they do really well with that. So they're going to gain some life here, unfortunately. But we're going to be able to do some damage back to them as well. So we'll see what we get here. Assuming they have been so lucky with what they've been able to draw. And we just keep drawing lands, and they keep getting exactly what they need in every situation. Alright, Generous Visitor is nice because that gets us the ability to put some counters on things. But they do have, because that stops there, that tells me they've got something. And this may be a terrible idea, putting both of those on there. But they're going to try to shut off. Yeah, they're going to shut off our Generous Visitor. Okay. So we're in kind of a tough situation now. Because they've got 2 good attackers, and we don't have a really good block situation here. Because if we block, then we're going to lose our spirit. The opponents had a really, really powerful draw out, and we just have not seen the cards that we need to. I mean, we've got basically 10 lands so far in 19 cards. So that's really hard to win those kinds of games. And now they're going to play Virtue of Loyalty, so that's going to grow their team every turn, but we're not going to let that happen. We're going to kill it immediately before it has any ability to take effect. So that helps us out there. It'll get them a land, but that's okay. Hopefully we can get something to grow the team here, so that way we can really start putting some pressure again on our opponent. Okay, good. We get a Jukai Naturalist, which is a great card to get here. Unfortunately, because of Tishana's Tidebinder, we don't get to block that. Okay, so they're going to block it with Denic. I'm doing this because I need the card draw now. So we've got to have something to get rid of Tishana's Tidebinder. We don't get it, but we do get a restoration, so that's good. And that's going to help us out because player land. But in our graveyard, we've got a bunch of good cards that we'll be able to bring back. Borrow Time, Audacity. You know, we've got some things that we probably bringing back Spirited Companion or an Audacity as something that we can use here. And I'm thinking Borrow Time would be great, but unfortunately it's not something that we can get. We'll take the 3 from Tishana here. Okay, yep, better. I guess, no, maybe not. Okay. All right, we get a card that's easy to say we would like a replacement. And I'm going to get a Spirited Companion because what this is going to do for us is give us a card draw, which hopefully gets us something else we need. Oh, yes, that's great. We get a Haunted Howling. So while we're not doing good yet, if we can get an enchantment next turn, we can start growing our team. And that's our 6th enchantment. One more and everything gets flying. And we're in really, really good shape at that point. So hopefully we draw an enchantment here, and that puts us over the top to at least do some serious damage on the next turn. Okay, so they're going to attack with their Denic. Okay, we're down to 7. Play another land. Unfortunately, we get a Generous Visitor, so it's not going to activate our Haunted Howling, but we are going to be able to get counters in the future. So we're going to hold here one more turn, and then hopefully we get an enchantment, and then we can go over the top. So we're down to 4 now. We'll see if the opponent's got something that can do that damage. But this is one of the downsides of this deck in some ways. Oh, we got a Circle of Confinement, even better. Okay, we got a double activation. We'll put that there, get some additional life gain. We'll see what they have. Okay. We'll take out the Tidebinder. Getting rid of their blocker. Now, if they can kill one of our enchantments here, then everything goes back to the ground, and that'll be an unfortunate situation. Okay, but we can attack here. We get another Spirit, which will pump up our other Spirit, and that's game. Whew! Wow. Okay, beating the Esper deck. They had a bad draw out that last game in terms of Rafines and stuff like that. They didn't get that. But we had kind of an equally bad draw out with getting so many lands on turn on the 3rd game. All right, we're back for our post-game wrap. You can see the power of the deck where in the 2 matches we played, the deck did very well. It can be very explosive if you snowball very early in the game. Calix tends to be a really important card. You saw the power of Calix when we started to copy things. Haunted Howling is really an all-star in the deck. Once you get it down and you can start creating those spirit tokens that get 1 power and 1 toughness for each spirits in play, and the fact that you've got Generous Visitor, you've got Kami of Transience that are also spirits, and Katilda is also a spirit, so it helps to grow those throughout the course of the game, and those can just be overwhelming to an opponent in those matchups. So pleased with the deck. I think it's got some definite playability in standard right now, and we'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks. I'll see you then.